are going to discuss ethics in research. We had already seen that what is the need of ethics in research, and we know that ethics is a part of philosophy. In a general term or in a literal sense, ethics is being defined that ethics is nothing but it is a study of moral and immoral things. But how ethics is related with our research, how it is a part of our research, we'll discuss. And what are the parts of the research which can be undertaken by a research scholar in all the 7 stages of our research process from the beginning of literature review till the end of the submission of the thesis also. So generally, ethics is one of the part of the philosophy, but when we discuss in the sense of Buddhist studies or in the sense of Buddhism, it is a study related with the moral activities or behavior also. And ethics is somehow we discuss the morality which has been defined by Acharya Buddha Ghosh in the magnum opus work of Visuddhi Mag, that what is the morality? It is the curtailment of the physical and vocal misdeeds. But here, how this our behavior related with our physical, how this is related with our research, we'll discuss. So, generally, what are the parts of the morality or the virtues or the our activities related with our behavior? We have to discuss. Buddhism also discuss about, and it gives a more stress on the intention and behavior. We also know that in Anguttara Nikaya, Buddha says that Chetanam bhikkhave kammam badami chetitva kai kammam pachi kammam mano kammam. So, volition, Buddha says that, oh monks, volition is an action. All the manifestations are being governed by or manifested by our actions. Whatever we do, whether they are moral or immoral, they are being governed by our mind or the volition or the chetana or consciousness. So it has been given consciousness or the volition has been given more importance in the morality or the ethics also. What part of the ethics we are going to discuss in our research, and how these morality, the term ethics is related to ethics, we'll discuss one by one. So see how ethics is related with a research scholar, with a community to whom a research scholar is belonging or associated, and how a research scholar is being sponsored by any agency, whether it is government agency or private agency or any monasteries or the viharas or anything. And there are human subjects, as we know that humanity, this is the part of the our all the languages, all the activities we do, and how the things, the some of the personal things which cannot be made open by a research scholar will discuss, and how ethics is also related with the our not to open all these things which are undertaken by a research scholar. And in the case of questionnaire method and the sampling method, we are gathering or collecting research materials from the person to persons, and It also needs a confidentiality of the uh, personal things of a person concerned. They should not be made open. And ethics is also related with the supervision or the guidance by a research supervisor. Ethics is also concerned with the publication of the research paper as well as a publication of the book or the thesis or any related with our research. Research ethics is also concerned with the reviewing of the papers also, or the book, or even the examining of the thesis also. It concerns all these things. So we'll discuss how ethics are concerned with all these aspects of our research. So we have already seen that what are the strategy by a research scholar from the beginning. There is a need of continuous literature search and review, then the research problem, then hypothesis, then research scholar makes a strategy to start his work, then he frame the designing or he makes the frame of the research work, then he collects the data, and then he makes the analysis of the research materials which has been collected by a researcher scholar, then he tests the validity of the hypothesis, whether it has been proving to the objectives of the research or not. Then there is a critical analysis or interpretations of the materials or the concepts which have been taken, and there is a writing, then publications of the research paper, and this is the stages of a research scholar, and every stage there is a need of ethics. That is the morality, how we have to be very much cautious with all these things from the beginning till the publications of the research paper or the thesis also. Let us discuss how this ethics has been defined by our scholars. So ethics originates from the original Greek work. This is the Greek term ethos, which means personal character, nature, and dispositions. We have seen that ethics is nothing but morality or behavior related with our Buddhism or Buddhist studies. So here, that is the personal, the character of a person concerned, then the nature and the dispositions. Ethics expresses ways of understanding and examining the moral life, where moral originates from Latin word morality, meanings custom or manner. This is the definitions given by our TL and Childress, JF Principles of Bioethics. This is the name of the book. So this is and when we are concerned with our the term moral, in Buddhism, the exact equivalent term of moral is kusala. Kusala is kuchita karena sayantanam papkanam akusalanam dhammanam lunati iti kusalam. That kusal is that states or the factors which uproots the immoral states of our mind, which are lying on the surface of our mind. So this is the moral or kusala. Immoral is akusala, that which are not moral. And if you discuss about the exact equivalent terms in the term of Buddhism or Buddhist philosophy, then it has three roots. Kusala, that is the alova, dosa, moha, and akusal are having three roots, namely lobha, dosa, moha. So moral and immoral, these two states are associated with the six kinds of the roots. That is why the moral and immoral have been termed with the in Buddhism with respect to our hetuj, that is the roots, just like roots are giving support to the tree for the standing of the tree. In the same manner, the moral or immoral states which are giving support to a personality of a human being. So this is the moral things, and the whole things, the study related with the moral and immoral states is called as ethics in term of Buddhism. So, but when it comes in the sense of patipatti or the practice or bhavana, it is concerned with the perspectives on right and proper conduct. Conduct means achar, that Buddhism gives more stress on the conduct of a human being. Acharya Shanti Dev in Bodhicharya Avatar gives more stress on the conduct of a human being. And even if you go through the Panchasil, Dasasil, Atasil, we are having that how these concept related with the conduct have been given here. So Buddhism also gives, and we have discussed that morality is nothing but it is the curtailment of the physical and vocal misdeeds or immoral states. So in that way, ethics, when we are talking in terms of bhavana, that is the pratipatti or the practice, it is concerned mainly with the proper conduct. So even research, when we are doing our research, it is also a proper conduct, how you are undertaking your research. So respecting human dignity all the time, this is our ethics. Let us see that how there are three types of ethics which have been discussed by our scholars. Here, first is called as consequences test. As we know that every action has its own reactions also. When a person does a moral action, there is the resultant of the moral actions also. And if a person does immoral actions, there is a resultant of immoral actions also. So there is a consequence. If a person does immoral things, he gets the resultant of immoral actions. So ethics is also in the sense of consequences, that whatever you do, and we also know that in Buddhism, everything is dependent on law of dependent originations, cause and effect. There is no self-independent entity. Everything comes into existence dependent on some cause and conditions. So here there are consequences of our mm, moral and immoral actions. Based upon that, there is the good and evil, that is the moral and immoral actions. There is the resultant of the moral and immoral actions. That is why it is said that the consequentialist ethics approaches maintain that actions is morally right or obligatory. It if it will produce greatest possible balance of good over evil. This has been taken by our Israel M. and L. in the book Research Ethics for Social Sciences. Now, there is a non-consequentialist or deontological ethics, which is just opposite of the previous one, causality. There is no any cause or there is no action, moral, there is no resultant. If there is no such type of ethics, it is called as non-consequentialist or deontological ethics, which approaches suggest that something may be regarded as morally high, right, even if it does not produce the greatest balance of good. So this is a kind of positions. And third is the virtue, which we are concerned in our Buddhism or Buddhist studies. Virtue is the morality. Here, ethics theory emphasizes the moral character of the decision makers and not the consequences of their actions. That is why in Visuddhimagga, Acharya Buddha Ghosh defines that Panati Pata Bermani Bhat Patipatti Pahai Sikhapadam Ti Silam. So here it is the seal or the morality or the ethics is the name of the prescribing the moral ethics which have been prescribed in the Panchasil, Attasil, and Dasasil. So this is the virtue in case of our Buddhist studies or Buddhism. Now, ethical study and applications. So before coming to our research portions, let us have an background of ethics, then we will come to the main point. So ethical study and applications, how this ethical studies is being taken by a researcher or a student and how these are applied. First is the meta ethics, which explores meaning, function, and justification, how ethical values are made. Second is the normative ethics, which means that guiding what should or should not be done to decide what is morally right in the given situation. Then there is the applied ethics also. So nowadays there is a new science or new thoughts which are a new study or subject discipline has been undertaken like applied. There is a applied physics, applied mathematics, applied chemistry, applied Buddhism also. In the case of ethics also, how the moral study of the moral and immoral things can be applied in our day-to-day life. It is related with the investigating how normative theory can be applied in individual or group or community transactions and science, technology, social science, medical and environmental study fields. So this is the our main term related with our research. We'll discuss one by one. And ethical norms are broader and less formal than legal laws. This is another term related with the legal. There are legal ethics also. We are not going to discuss all these things. But here, how these ethical study related with the ethics can be undertaken in the sense of meta-ethics, normative ethics, and applied ethics. Now, what are the things or elements which are associated with ethics for research or for a research scholar? These are some of the points which are related with our research: honesty, objectivity, integrity, openness, confidentiality, human subject care, animal care, validity, legality, competence, respect for colleagues, veneration for IPR, responsible publications, scrupulous review, conscientious mentoring, non-discrimination, social responsibility. How a research scholar is supposed to be honest in his studies or in his research also. He must be dedicated, sincere. He must be polite also when he is doing his research. There are so many instances which have been given that a researcher must follow the same thing which has been discussed in the Mahavagga, how a Acharya or Antyavasi have the relations which have been discussed, Acharya or Antyavasi and Upadhyay and Sadhya. The relations between Upadhyay and Sadhya as well as Acharya and Antyavasi. These must be followed by our research scholars of the Buddhist studies. He must be honest, he must be sincere, he must be patient also. There are so many things related with our research scholars here. he must be honest in his research also, that how he is concerned about his research. Objectivity, he must be clear that what he has to do in his research, he must be very much specific in his uh, selecting or deciding the topic of his research. He must be pinpointed in our collecting the research materials or the selections of the topic. So these are related. A research scholar must be integrity. He must be integrity here. It means that how you are very much sincere and dedicated persons. He must be a, there are so many characters. If you go through the Upajhai and Sadhi Biharik, Sadhi Biharik and Antevasi, there are some of the duties which have been prescribed in the Mahabharata or in the other text also. So these are some of the qualities of research scholars. How there are some of the qualities of the acharyas also, which have been discussed in our Milind Pahyo by Acharya Nagsen. So these are some of the things, and he must be open also. Open means that he must be straightforward. He must not this uh, keep the things inside of his mind or his consciousness. There must be confidentiality of research related with, we'll discuss there. Then he must be aware of the human subjects related with man, nature, and environment. So annual care, validity, how he has to test the things. Then legality, some of the legal things related with our research scholars, they are also being strictly defined by our statute of the university, and he must be competent also. Competent means he must be aware of until unless a research a scholar does not have the quality of analyzing or interpreting the things, he cannot do properly researching. So he must be competent. A research scholar must be very much uh, aware that whether he is competent for continuing the research or not, not only for the sake of degree or the award he is taking. He must have respect to our colleagues and the teachers also, veneration for the our elders, the teachers, and other things. He must be responsible for publications of the research paper. So here, research scholar is has the quality of. So here, the ethics is related with all these things. How these all aspects are related with our ethics. We'll discuss one by one in our following slides also. And then when he is analyzing or reviewing the works of the previous scholars, he must be very much critical also. Critical means he should not be any rational, but he must be very much critical whether it is good or bad. He must write about when he is reviewing the book for the literature review. Then there is a constant mentoring, how from the teachers, from the parents, from the elders, how there are mentors who can shape the personality of a researcher scholar, and ethics is also related with that. There should not be any discriminations related with the caste, color, and creed and other things. And research scholar must be responsible for the society, family, and the state and the nations also. So let us discuss the one by one then here. And when we are handling the computer related with our research work, here computer ethics is also very much nowadays it has become one of the things which must be undertaken by a research scholar. So here these are some of the things which have happened in the past and how these have been related with our ethics. This is the Nuremberg Code 1947, then Code of Research Publications were framed first of all, and then there was a United Nations declarations of human rights related with the ethical code, and then World Medical Association's declarations. There were ethics related with the medical in the treatment of the patients, and the other thing there are some moral ethics which are also related with the doctors also how they are diagnosing the patients. So ethics and then in 1964 and 1965 medical ethics were formulated. Then again in the 2009 US federal policy on research misconduct, this was framed, and Britain's Economic and Social Research Council research ethics framework, which was also framed. So these were the our paths to how the framework were governed by our things. So these are some of the cases. Tuskegee syphilis case, a syphilis trial of men started in 1934 that was unethical. So it did not inform them on effective penicillin treatment available in 1940. So this was the started related with the medical ethics. Now, what are the conducts when we are our doing our actions related with our research? So these are the ethical rules which are related the values of the honesty, openness, and the personal integrity of a research scholar, and the ethical responsibility to the subjects of research, such as their consent, confidentiality, and courtesy. These all are related with our research scholar. A research scholar then generally he should ask himself or herself that whether am I fully confident in the morality of the how I am collecting the data or the research materials. Researcher must should also ask himself or herself that whether am I sure that I am not biased in analysis or interpretations. So this is the our conducting of research. Now these are some of the things ethical theory, the framework, how these have been taken. Non-maleficence that researchers should not harm participants. So these are some of the frameworks related with the ethical theory that a research scholar should not harm any person to whom he is collecting the research materials or he is taking interview for anthropological or sociological or questionnaire method. Beneficence that research on living subject should produce or lead to some identifiable benefit. There should not be any research related with immoral purpose. That it should be for the advancement of the state or the country or the nation. So autonomy or self-determination, that is the values and the decision of the researcher participants should be respected. So those who are related with this research, they must be respected, they must be venerated. Justice, all people and living creatures should be treated equally. Buddhism also discusses that all are equal. No one is inferior or no one is superior. There should not be any distinctions related with any persons. So here ethical theory is also related with how the social justice is related with our research also. So here lack of ethics in research. Whenever there is a misconduct related with the research, there is a faulty design of experiment which a research scholar does sometimes whenever he collects the data which are not, you can say, very clear or they are forged. And whenever a researcher scholar takes the plagiarism, he makes the copy and paste from other books or the research thesis which have been submitted earlier. And whenever he gives the interpretations which are biased based upon the research technique which he has used, so these are related with the against the ethical norms. So this is our so whenever a person does there is a heavy penalty for the research. Research is not being awarded by the university or something which are being given. So these are some of the things how research ethics or a research a scholar is associated with all these things, is associated with the participants' discipline in subject of Buddhism or Buddhist studies, how he is associated with the colleagues or other research scholars, how he is associated with his employer, how he is associated with our family, society, sponsors to by whom he is being given the finance for continuing the research and the peers, students, competitors in the research. How the ethical norms are related with each and every aspect of this society and family. So, a sponsor and employer, when we are talking about it, the clarifications must be very much clear and so that it will help researchers. So, researchers should clarify in advance the respective roles, rights, and obligations of a sponsor, employer, and researcher. So, researcher should not hide anything related with himself that for what purpose he is interested to complete his research work, he should not give any wrong statement to the sponsor related with his role and the rights and related with the sponsor. He must be clear also. Obligations of researchers to the sponsor and employers. They should be very much honest about their qualifications and expertise. Researcher should not hide any qualifications related with him and what expertise he has. He should be very much clear to the sponsor also. Inform the advantage and disadvantage of their methods also through which he is going to collect his research method, research. He should also acknowledge the necessity for discretion with the confidential information provided by a sponsor and employers. So at least he should give acknowledgement to all his employers, his sponsors, and all the confidential informations which he has gathered. He must be clear also. Then there are some ethics related with the sponsored research also. There are major players like government, central, state, and local. military public sector agencies. These are the agencies. International agencies like World Bank, there are so many things which are also sponsoring related with our Buddhist studies, also like Khenche Foundation, Sage Buddhism. There are so many sponsoring agencies which are sponsoring fund or amount to the research scholars for completing his research on a given topic. So private companies, corporate houses, they are also uh, hire some of the research scholars to do research on some of the aspects for his advancement of the companies or corporate agencies. Other players like NGO, non-government organizations, environment and women's groups, learned societies, trust like charitable and religious. So there are ethics, some these all NGOs and these are the trustees or societies of the restorations which are registered and the groups they also need investigations and they also hire researchers to do research on given topic for the advancement of their societies or the NGOs. So uh, one should understand the motives of these sponsors. If the motives are not moral, a researcher should not take research from those agencies also. Again, the one who pays the piper calls the tune. This is the proverb. So funding steers the result. If you get the good finances from the sponsoring, it gives the result also. Only sponsored objectives are research and fallout is overlooked, howsoever beneficial it may be. As for example, disease prevention will be overlooked if developing a new cure drug is the objective. So this is the our how the agencies are undertaking related with the disease and how the new drug is being innovated by researchers. So pressure is put to justify the perceived or desired objective. Building a road or a rail link, these are the links. So sometimes researchers are also add there are some of the things related with the confidentiality to the sponsors also. These are the following conditions which are ethically acceptable. A sponsor non-disclosure. Name of the sponsor should not be disclosed to the participants. For whom he is doing, it should not be clear by the researcher. Purpose non-disclosure, that aim of the study need not to be informed so that competitors do not get signals. Researcher must should be very much aware that they should not disclose the purpose of the object research, that why he is conducting research on this very topic, and then findings non-disclosure. Research results are exclusive property of the sponsor by whom he has been funded for the research. It should not be become clear, otherwise it will beyond the ethics. A sponsor should resist putting pressure on the researcher for the following: violating participants' confidentiality. So those who are a sponsor, they also must take some of the pressures to the researcher by whom he is undertaking the research, changing data to meet desired objective, modifying presentations and interpretations. So sponsors should take care of that how interpretations and presentations are being given and they should be modified, omitting undesirable sections of the data analysis and conclusions. So some of the things which are not desired for the societies or the research, they should be omitted or deleted, making recommendations beyond the scope of the collected data. So those which are not related with the scope of the research, they should be uh, taken care of. So now we are coming to the main point, our subject. So this was the background of related with the ethics in all the aspects, that how the things are related, how to the researcher, to the family, society, colleagues, parents, teachers, and how sponsoring agencies are also taking ethics to the researcher also. So now we are concerned with our research, how ethics are related with all the seven stages, from the identifying to the research problem till the our submission of the thesis or the research paper, or how you are preparing. So all these portions are related with our ethics. So ethics is followed at every step, from the very beginning, identifying the research problem, till the end of your submission of the thesis also. So the first is coming to the literature review. The first for the identifying the research questions or research proposal. A person, a researcher, is supposed to undertake the literature review. He has to go continuously for books or the journals related with his research. How a researcher is concerned with ethics in literature review, let us discuss. To search extensively for the topics related with references. So sometimes people are for the shortcut, they depend on the Google and the local libraries. They do not go outside the place where a researcher is staying. So generally, shortcut that he is discussing with one or two persons, and he is deciding his topic related with the problem also. So here comes the morality or ethics. He has to devote much time related with the literature review. And we have discussed in the beginning also that how literature review is continuously undertaken by a researcher from the very beginning of the research proposal till the end of the submission of the thesis also. So here one must be very much open. He should not be very in a hurry or haste manner, that he has to just go through the 2 3 months for the literature review to acknowledge previous contributions. Sometimes we get the information from the journals or the books. We do not acknowledge the contributions from, or the ideas or the concepts or the thoughts which have been undertaken by a researcher. So he must acknowledge that from where this idea has been taken. To put works by others in proper perspectives. Sometimes the ideas and the thoughts or the concepts which have not been published by anyone, they are undertaking in their own name a researcher. So it is beyond, or it is against of the morality or the ethics. So at least from where you have taken these ideas or the works, you must acknowledge them. To present the review in objective and balanced manner. Sometimes some of the reviews of the books on the research topic which a researcher is supposed to do. He takes only the positive things. He does not take negative things from the book also. He tries to avoid the negative things what the previous scholars have done. But here he should be very much honest here also that when he is reviewing the book related with his research, when he is reviewing the literature related with his work, he must be critical also. He must give the positive and negative aspect of the book or the chapters or the papers also of the journal. To avoid dropping reference to work by others strategically or on fancy ground. Sometimes you are quoting the things, but you are not giving the reference on the footnotes or the endnotes or the parentheses. It means that the what you are writing, it it belongs to you, to a research scholars. So this is also beyond of the ethics or against of the norms of the ethics. So it should be avoided by a research scholar when he is doing the literature review. Whenever we are coming to the research methodology, we have already discussed that what is the research methodology. It is a technique or the tool through which a research scholar tries to gather his research materials and completes or analyze his research materials. So, what are the ethics related with the research methodology? We have already discussed that what are the types of the research methodology from the textual method, analytical method, qualitative method, quantitative method, sampling method, questionnaire method. We have already seen, but how the ethics are related with the methodology. So here to avoid selecting data or the theories only supporting one's pet theory. Suppose you have already decided that you have to do uh, research on this very topic and the solutions which are coming to your mind related with your research questions, and based upon those solutions or the hypothesis of your research, you are just undertaking the methodology which will support that solution or the hypothesis. It is beyond the ethics also. It is not related with our proper norms of the research methodology. If the other methodology are not supporting to the hypothesis or the objectives of the research, it means there is something wrong. So here you have to give very much the technique through which you are undertaking your research work. To stick to the standards adopted for the study. There are generally understood that is the analytical or scientific method or qualitative method or empirical research. These are the already standard methodology for the research. So we are also very much aware that if I am not aware of the methodology of the questionnaire method or sampling method, I should not go related with that. So if you are biased with the methodology, this is also against the ethics also. So as for example, not changing the pre-decided level of the significance in a statistical test. So for already it has been decided through the statistical data, we have not to change this statistical data. We have to take this research methodology, which will also give the result on the same thing which are available. So this is against the ethics. to provide all the data and methodology details for anyone to replicate the study. In the introduction part, a researcher is supposed to give the details of the research methodology which he has adopted in his research method for collecting the research materials and analyzing the research materials. He should not hide that what type of research methodology he has used to record and report the results faithfully. A researcher must be honest in putting the final result or the report of his thesis in the whether they are not very much supporting to the objectives of the research also. So it should not be a one-sided view. If there are other views also related with your objectives, you can also put in that research methodology. So it must be clear also to validate the results without fail. So without any fail, you have to test the validity of research methodology in the last also. So there are types of sampling also, as for example, how the ethics are being validated or the tested. And if you remember the sampling method of the research, we had discussed about that what is sampling and what are the types of the time sampling. There are two types of sampling, probability sampling and non-probability sampling. So probability sampling is a simple random systematic stratified random cluster multi-stage, multi-phase, successful and sequential. These three last multi-phase successive and sequential. It is useful for longitude studies. So, and there is another non-probability sampling. This is convenience, judgment, quota, and snowball. So now non-probability sampling, there are three: convenience or accidental, judgment, quota, or snowball. We have already discussed all these things in our sampling method. So what are the limitations for the research scholar? Non-probability sampling suffers from the following major defects and should not be overlooked while interpreting the results. So non-representative in nature, biasness is not filtered, weak for generalization, results are indicative and not conclusive. So research ethics is also related with all these four aspects, non-representative in nature, biasness is not filtered, weak for generalizations, and results are indicative and not conclusive. So in the surveys, whenever we are doing our field survey or when we are collecting the research data related with our based upon the survey method, there are harm conceptions, privacy, confidentiality. So related with the survey, field survey, the ethics are related with harm, that is the participants surveyed should not be harmed physically or psychologically for the outcome of the research also. Uh, um, Researchers of the medical sciences, they are also killing some of the human beings or some animals or the insects. These are also against the ethical norms for their researcher, for their sake of getting some results, they are doing some things. So consent participants be given information about the study aim as far as possible before obtaining their permissions to get the information from them. We have also discussed in our questionnaire method that how questions are being framed and how a researcher must be very much cautious about in framing the questions. We'll discuss in a very brief manner here also, and how the ethics can be undertaken by a researcher in undertaking the questionnaire method also. So here, this a person should not be deceived by attractive words also, by physical behavior also. You should not, a researcher should not cheat any participants to whom he is going to make questionnaire method or the survey method. Privacy of the participants must be maintained by a research scholar. These are some of the sensitive issues related with the person also is not be disclosed also. Sometimes there are mishappenings that some of the personal informations are made public also. Confidentiality must be maintained by a researcher, and there should be promise to not reveal the identity of the respondent must be honored. If a participants ask for the confidentiality, it must be maintained for that. So let us stop here because we are going beyond the time. So till here, if you have any question, you can ask. Otherwise, in the next class, we'll discuss about the remaining portions of the ethics related with the other aspect of the research process. We are having the 7 stages of the research. We'll discuss one by one. We are here discuss the how literature review and the research methodology can be undertaken in the sense of ethics by a research scholar. So if you have any question, you can ask. Otherwise, we will move towards our next class. So one class I will also take for this ethics related with the other aspects of the research process, and then we'll discuss some of the things. There are only 2, 3 classes which are remaining from my own side. After that, it will be end by the middle of the January. I will try to complete the syllabus. Okay. Any question?
Thank you, sir. No question. Sorry for
Okay. So in the next week, if you have any question, you put. Otherwise, we'll continue the research ethics in the next class. Okay. So thank you very much. Take care. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir.
You all. Okay. Thank you.